Based on the governor efforts, executive board limited social gathering to no more than 10 people. We are taking all necessary steps to help contain the spread of the virus COVID-19. Therefore, district board meeting will be closed to the public in order to abide by the governor's order. However, in an effort to conduct public business in a transparent manner, the school district will continue to live stream all district board meetings. District administrator will also ensure that no more than 10 people are gathering in
Hold on.
one place during board meetings.
Don't tell me everybody's wearing it.
All individuals present at the school district location will have their temperature checked by the administrator to the district meeting. Members of the public may participate by accessing live function on this website following the video link. Meeting live stream will be available at the link below. Public comment may be submitted to meeting.question@rostonid.org at any time prior to the board meeting. First item on the agenda is roll call.
Valdemar Torres present.
Bertha Rodan present.
Eva Arona present.
Hector Lopez present.
And Oscar Lopez president. And we have Lori Garza by phone or via the.
Present. I'm present.
All right, thank you. And, not present is Mr. Richard Gonzalez. Next item on the agenda is a moment of silence. Would you please bow your head for a moment of silence and pray for all these people that are being affected by the COVID-19, for your loved ones, and your husbands, and the ones that are ill right now, and the ones that have gone before us. Amen. We go to item number 2. Item number 3 is the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Texas.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Well, we'll skip number 4. We don't have any public participation.
None came in? No? Okay.
We go to item number 5, sir, the informational items.
Trustees, in your packets, what you'll see is TASB Summer 2020 Leadership Institute, June 17th through the 20th in San Antonio. That's on page 5, and page 9 you have June 24th through the 27th at Fort Worth. Trustees, and again, that's as of this time. We haven't had any additional updates yet, but just know that that's what was said. So if I get any further information, I'll make sure that I inform all of you. I do know, I think that Ms. Orona, I think you're graduating from your TASB program is in Fort Worth?
Yeah, no, yes, in Fort Worth, in
Okay.
June, yes, sir.
Okay.
God willing.
All right, then we'll go into the list of bills with Nina.
Nina's present.
Good evening, board members. Starting on page 10 through 31 are the list of the bills. They total for the month of March, $1,187,538.74. If you have any questions, let me know or send me an email. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
All right, I don't have any questions. You guys got any questions?
No question.
No question, Nina.
Thank you.
Okay. You proceed, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next one, Nina, on financial statement report.
Yes, sir. Beginning on page 34 is our March financial statement. Again, I'm just gonna call attention to those functions that are a little higher than normal. We're at 7 months right now, so we should be right at 58%. We have 4 functions a little over. One is, function 34, which again, that's normal because we're gonna be out July and most of August. So we'll catch up at that time. Same with function 36. Function 52, we've asked, the city to provide more security at our campuses and at our, football games. So we'll probably be bringing a budget amendment to the board to add a little more money to function 52. And then the fourth one is function 99, which is where we pay, the tax assessment collector. And that is because we've already made 3 payments instead of just 2. So that one will clear up before year end. The next column is 101, which is food service, and I'm gonna get back to that one. If you turn to page 35, a board member asked about how did we look financially compared to last year in Fund 101, which is food service. So you can see this year, we're about 50,000 short of revenue, but also almost the same amount short in expense. So we're a little better off than we were last year by about $10,000. However, we haven't filed a February report, so we should be about 60,000 better off once we file that February report. So to answer that question, financially, this year is substantially better than last year in food service. Any questions about the financials?
On the budget amendments, Nina, when you're talking about, you're referring to, if there's gonna be need to hire any additional, because there might not be school in May, right?
I'm sorry, about what, I couldn't understand you. What about the budget? We hadn't gotten the budget amendments yet.
Okay, I thought you talked about hiring more police officers, or,
Right now because of the, we're not in school anymore.
Okay.
That's what she said.
is that what
That's
you're
true,
referring to?
I'm just, right, I'm just saying, we might need additional money, and if so, I'll bring a budget amendment to the board adding money.
Okay,
from
I
this.
understand,
Alright,
okay.
alright. Thank you, Nina.
Okay, sir. And then we'll proceed on letter D, Robstown Robstown Education Foundation luncheon rescheduled for September the 2nd of 2020. So again, that's been rescheduled. And then on the next one is superintendent update on coronavirus 19 pandemic. And trustees, here what I wanted to do is just give some general information that I thought, again, I want to assume nothing, make sure that all of you are aware of. But are very proud of our teachers for coming together, really focused together, our administrators, and because remember, we were on spring break still. So they came back in 3 days. 3 days, they came together with a specific focus. They started putting everything together along with our administrators, of course with our central office staff supporting them as well along the way. But by Thursday, we were able to start going active. Now, there's still always gonna be some fine tuning from now until we continue moving. At this point, you'll notice I placed a letter that I sent out today to the whole community. But Governor Abbott has declared that school may resume on May the 4th. And there was some clarity, that's why this is delayed a little bit, because there's confusion whether are we still closed May 4th or can we resume. We got that clarity, so what I'm doing here is that we'll have our teachers come back on May the 4th. That way they can re-engage, get ready, and then welcome our kids back on May the 5th. As of right now, this is from the final declaration. But again, our social program, I do encourage all of you to go on to our main website so you get a sample of the organization. Richard, our technology and his team, amazing. Within 3 days, still don't know how he did it, but he created a website that houses a lot of the activities so our parents can see that. Now, our principals are being very innovative with their teachers, their teacher leaders, and they have different ways of communication with our parents, not only through Google Classroom, but they're also using different apps that they use just on your phone to be able to get access of information, also for our teachers to be able to communicate with our kids. So we're really trying to make that online component happen, because we always got to take the good out of a tough situation. And we all know we're not just feeling it here in Texas, it's across the nation. But the one thing that I think educationally that it's done to us at this point, again, taking the good out of everything, finding the silver lining, is that it's forcing us to now really utilize what one platform for us is a Google Classroom, which at this point is really now getting into our kids' world on how they learn. And it's just a different way of learning. So for us, the way we're looking at it, for me, as far as my leadership, is already thinking ahead. This is a springboard for what's gonna happen next year. Because that could be an integration of our curriculum, and what we definitely want to continue to grow other ways and other options. Food service is up and running. Right now, we thought we were going to lose Driscoll, but our team pulled together, so we're gonna be able to maintain Driscoll as well. Lots Beach and at the high school. So we'll continue 4 sites for the food program. I just wanna share some numbers with you, just so you see how hard our ladies, our teams are working. Just the first week alone, when we had Monday through Friday, we served, this was March the 23rd through March the 27th, we served 10,180 meals. Okay, 10,100, our ladies are working hard. Then the next week, we had from Monday through Friday, it looks like we had 9,372 meals. And then this next one, now again, this is, but that's when we went to the 2 days. So the first one, we look at, I know it's a little bit lower, but look at the variance from the 5 days to the 2 days, because our ladies, what they're doing on Mondays, they give Monday and Tuesdays meals, and on Wednesdays, they give Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday meals, okay? So that was 9,372, and then so far, just in this day, we had 3,444. So, I mean, they're working hard, the word gets out. We gave another update as far as a call to all of our families, and they're just coming in. And the safest thing is that they're coming in their vehicles, and that's very, very important. Most employees are working remotely now. Now, there are some essential, like this is my first week that I brought the grounds crew back. Again, I met with them on the first day. We went over all the protocols, the expectations, making sure that we're following the ordinance 6 feet apart, making sure that we're washing our hands. When we're clocking in, we wash our hands. When we clock out, wash our hands. Really look at the social distancing to model that as a school district. And of course, our food service. Now, most of the curriculum at this point is operating now remotely, but it's amazing. I mean, it's just like if you're in your office, you're communicating with everybody and everyone is getting together. Now that we have this extension from the governor, that we're monitoring now to see how we're going to continue to add on to our curriculum to continue expanding for that time frame. So it's all just up and going. We're also next week, trustees, I'm requesting a special call meeting because we have some other items that have to go to. But next week, what I'll do is bring in what I couldn't bring into this one yet is the grading procedures based on distance learning. So that we'll bring for your review and approval next week. But what I would like to do next week is going to be completely virtual. Okay, so this gives us a step forward in the right direction to get a sense of everything, and I appreciate all of you from jumping on Friday as a rehearsal. Now we'll refine that. So next week our goal is what? Completely virtual. Okay, so I'll come here with Mr. Lopez, Oscar Lopez. We'll be here centered with Richard, that way we can make sure everything gets started, and then all of you from your homes will be able to operate. But we'll also, try to do some practice runs in between to make sure it happens. I'm requesting that we look at the 14th, which is, because Monday is Good Friday and Good Monday, so that Tuesday. Now doesn't have to be at 6. If y'all want to do it at 5, if everybody agrees, we might be able to do it at 5 a little bit earlier.
What day is it?
The 14th, so Tuesday.
It's in Monday.
Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, I'm sorry.
So not Monday.
No, because it's Good Monday.
Okay, I'll put it on my calendar. At what time?
If everybody agrees, sir, can you make it at 5 or? Okay, 5 o'clock. Then again, you're going to be at the comfort of your own homes at that point. 5 o'clock.
I can do anytime.
Okay.
Anytime.
4 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
Okay. I mean, if y'all say earlier.
Better because I work.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Sorry.
All right, so let's go to 5 o'clock then,
Okay.
at that point.
Good.
At 5 o'clock.
All right, and it should be a shorter meeting, but again, it's some vital pieces that we need to have, as well as our teacher contracts at that one.
Okay.
If you have complaints, this is one thing I want to make sure that we, and take this opportunity, because I know that we're on our YouTube, making sure that all of our families, please, families and trustees, if we have any questions or anything concerns regarding COVID-19, anyone who's not feeling well, there is a hotline that's available, and I'm going to say that number here. It's 361-826-7200. Again, that's 361-826-7200. And again, that's a hotline that's used here within our county. But again, that's also on our website on the main page. So any concerns, we always encourage to go that route that's regarding COVID-19 as far as health reasons. Now, I am in daily communications with the mayor to make sure that as a community, we're all on the same page. We've been working very well together as far as our day-to-day communication, just to make sure that the overall Robstown community as well as our Robstown ISD community are all moving forward safely and in a healthy manner for all of our students and our families. I already explained the letter that I sent out today. This one also, trustees, it's been posted on Facebook. It's also on our website. But as well as me including information about the start date for our teachers being May 4th, and our students come back on May 5th, we also included the hotline, or I would say it's a hotline, like any type of our students. If our families see that any of our kids are going through any type of distress because of everything that's going on, we definitely have our counselors available to them as well as our social workers. I would encourage it again, and Kelsey also sent out a message today. It's the email is socialworkerreferral@robstownISD.org. So socialworkerreferral@robstownISD.org. So if any parent has a concern or wants us to reach out to any of their children, our team, our counselors, our social workers will within 24 hours respond to that email for our families here. So that's information again that's available. And we always encourage again what the protocols are, 6 feet apart, social distancing, wash our hands is one of the best things we can do in at least 20 seconds. Avoiding touching your face, clean, and disinfect surface areas, as well as stay home when you're feeling sick. Okay, so these are just some general reminders in my letter at this point.
Is that number for the social worker also on the website and anywhere else?
It's gonna be on my letter, and that way it's there right at the front, as well as what we put out. But we're also working on another connection for all of our students, and that's up and coming the next few days. We're working very closely with them, counselors and social workers, and having an additional link that we're looking at. Okay.
The other number that's important as well, Dr. Moreno, is that 414-6000. That's for the county hotline for the stay at home.
Okay.
Okay, just FYI.
So if there are any questions for the stay at home ordinance,
Right.
the number for that is 361-414-6000. So it's 361-414-6000. For this, any questions for the stay at home requirement? Now, I know that something may be on your minds as far as, we'll go ahead and say it now. No, we don't have anything final and concrete, but as trustees, I want to make sure that all of you are aware. Of course, we're feeling it not only for all of our students, but our seniors. We know that our seniors are going through a lot because it's their senior year, and we all remember our senior year. So we are working extremely hard to ensure that we can find some options for them as far as graduation. Now, we still have our pending graduation date. That has not changed. But that all depends, as you know as well as I do, depending on our situation here and across the nation. That'll determine if we're able to continue that particular day, which I believe it's May the 22nd. But I am looking at some other options with the Borchard Center that may lead into June, maybe early July, just so we can give our kids the opportunity to walk the stage with their families and celebrate. So just know that we're working hard to try to get something concrete so we can have option 2 and maybe even option 3. So seniors, you have not been forgotten. We're out here and we're gonna do whatever we can to make sure that we can celebrate with you of your accomplishments. And then we're also gonna be setting up a general frequently asked questions. So as our parents are asking questions, we can have something that they can go back and refer to as well. That'll be on our website. Okay? And that'll be it for my updates.
Okay, may I say something before we go to the next item?
Yes, sir.
Last night, I don't know if you guys saw it on TV, Angel Lopez from Las Vegas came on TV with all her teachers and her kids, and then Kelsey Cook came in the paper this morning.
Yes.
So in case you missed it, they're not on the news. They show Robstown first, and then the schools from Corpus start putting theirs in their own. So we were out there, we were the first one that Channel 6 brought out.
Yeah, Kelsey came out in an article because of her caring heart, basically is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
But that just shows the type of people that we have here. I mean, we care about each other, we do whatever it takes to be able to support. You know, ultimately, when we pull together, great things happen for our community and our kids.
Definitely.
And now that's on the Domingo show, correct?
Yeah.
With Angel Lopez.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I mean, we have amazing leaders and, they're very dedicated staff. It's just amazing. So thank you, sir, for sharing that.
Okay, we go to item 6. Anything else that you had?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we go to consent agenda item, sir. We have action item is gonna be approval of minutes and approval of the budget amendments. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Lopez, is there a second? Second by Ms. Roldan, are there any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Lori?
I said aye.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's okay.
Unanimous? So, we go to the item number 7. We go to the governance action item, sir.
The trustees, we're asking to discuss and consider approval of adoption of resolution of emergency declaration of the Robstown Independent School District. Now, trustees, on this particular one, what you'll find if you go to page 65, and going into where it starts on page 67, this one is a resolution of emergency declaration. So at this point, we're not operating the day-to-day operations of our school district. And to try to avoid having additional board meetings, what I'm requesting is, and you'll notice on page 68, various areas for you, I'm requesting your authority on. But again, trustees, this is completely up to you on this, but this would allow us for me to be able to continue business as usual as much as we can, and not have to call an emergency meeting or additional board meetings. But again, I need to stress, trustees, this is up to you. You may tell me out of these 8 items, you may say that you're gonna approve 6 or 5. It's completely up to you, but I'm just gonna go through the process. But this is something that's also being done in some other school districts just to ensure that we keep business as usual. So I'm gonna read through this as quickly as I can, and then we'll get into the particular topics. And if you need clarification, I'll be more than happy to clarify any of the resolution items. So, resolution of emergency declaration, whereas the Robstown Independent School District has a substantial public interest to protect the health and safety of its students, staff, and community. Whereas on March 13, 2020, Texas Governor Abbott declared a state of disaster in Texas due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and issued a proclamation certifying that COVID-19 possesses an imminent threat of disaster in the state, and declaring a state of disaster for all counties in Texas. Whereas Robstown ISD has a substantial public interest in protecting the health and safety of its students, staff, and community, and therefore desires to ensure that the school district and community are prepared to the fullest extent possible to protect the health and safety of students, staff, and community in light of COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas the Board of Trustees for Robstown ISD finds there is a public purpose in retaining its employees, reducing turnover, increasing morale, helping employees focus on work-related matters while performing essential duties on behalf of the school district, and facilitating the return to duty of employees upon the reopening of the school district's facilities. Whereas in the event of school facilities are damaged or undergo operational failures as a result of an unforeseen, catastrophic, or emergency, Section 44.031H of the Texas Education Code authorizes the Board of Trustees to determine the delays posed by competitive procurement laws would prevent or substantially impair the conduct of classes or other essential school activities. Whereas the Robstown Board of Trustees has determined that COVID-19 pandemic has led to the unforeseen closure of school district campuses to students, and that in the event of school facilities are damaged or undergo operational failures as a result of unforeseen, catastrophic, or emergency, including any emergency related to COVID-19 that would prevent or impair the conduct of classes or other essential school activities, the board acknowledges that the delay posed by the procurement methods provided for in Texas Education Code 41.031A would prevent or substantially impair the conduct of classes or other essential school activities, so that contracts for goods and services needed to maintain, restore, or replace traditional classroom facilities and instructional equipment and supplies with alternative goods and services should be made by methods other than those required by Section 44.031A of the Texas Education Code, including but not limited to the acquisition of resources necessary to implement remote operations and instruction in compliance with the Governor Education orders. Whereas over the coming weeks, the emergency purchase of goods and services will be necessary to maintain and restore proper supplies and equipment to Robstown ISD facilities, property, and equipment in order to reopen district facilities and to protect the health and safety of Robstown ISD students and staff. Whereas the Robstown Board of Trustees finds the public purposes described above or fulfilled by efficiently and effectively making certain delegations to the superintendent
Where'd you get it?
to address this ever-changing emergency situation in the best interest of the health, safety, and well-being of its students, staff, and community. Here on top of page 68, it is therefore resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Robstown Independent School District finds a substantial public purpose exists in protecting the health and safety of its students, staff, and community, and therefore ensuring that school districts and its community are prepared to the fullest extent possible to protect the health and safety of the students, staff, and community in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. In furtherance of public purposes stated in this resolution, the Robstown ISD Board of Trustees makes the following delegations to the superintendent in order to efficiently and effectively prepare the school district in response to the declarations of emergency announced by federal, state, and local jurisdictions, and in preparation of any future declarations related to the COVID-19 pandemic by such jurisdictions. So trustees, these are the areas that you would give me authority if that's what you so choose, okay? So, and I'll explain some of these. Number one, the authority to act in place of the board under DEA local and make all decisions regarding payments of employees, to implement the provisions of board policy DEA local, and to make determinations regarding the purpose and parameters of any such payments consistent with state and federal laws. So again, on this, trustees, as a quick little summary, is just allow me to continue the general operations of making sure that our employees are being taken care of as far as their payroll and such, okay? The number two, the authority to make decisions regarding the compensation of at-will employees, including providing premium payments to such employees during the emergency closure. Now that, the last board meeting you already approved, but here it's just being reinforced. That, again, the biggest piece on that resolution is that any time that we find all of our employees are being paid, which is good. Thank you so much for continuing to take care of our employees during a time like this. But it allowed it, in the previous resolution for the time and a half, premium pay whenever we ask them to continue to help us with the general operations of our school district, on top of what the norm would be across the board. So that's just reinforcing that. The authority number three, to act in place of the board under board policy DC local and make all decisions regarding the selection and employment of all personnel, including contractual personnel. Now normally on this, trustees, what I always ask that you give me authority generally around May to about August, so we can hire our teachers and everyone that we need, our staff. What I'm requesting at this point is April through August. And what I want to do here is talk to you about some positions that that we're looking at to improve our school district. Some are completely necessary. Some are just some that we think would enhance. Now, on these particular positions, trustees, these are not necessarily. It depends on the budget availability. So I want to talk to you about it now. That way, I'm not being held off, you know, and waiting to post anything. So for example, we really want to ramp up our GT program in a different manner. We don't want to continue as far as just having our GT services provided in the classroom. We also want to be able to have students being taken out that are identified as GT, to be able to provide additional focus on, you know, by GT teacher. That we looked at the data, we looked at all of our surrounding school districts. I know that I think Banquet is kind of swinging back into also having pull-out services for GT as well as what happens in the classroom. There's another school district that's also, I think it's TM, at not all levels, but at certain levels. Because there's a big swing a few years back where it's completely all within the classroom, but we want to continue. Even when I was a principal, we had pull out, and I felt that it ran very effectively because I ensured that those kids were receiving the GT services they need on top of what our teachers, our wonderful teachers, provide in the classroom. So that we're looking at 2. I think 2 we'd be able to meet all of our needs for the elementaries. There's this one that we look in our visioning for the high school. I really feel that we need a college-bound advisor who strictly would help us to continue that reinforcement of everything we do with scholarships, everything we do in addition to the early college component for college extension and readiness. Also, any type of higher academic pieces, assessments, things like that. They're the thread that's basically, it's almost like a recruiter. They're constantly pulling in the universities, constantly the colleges. They're just making that connection there. And I talked about that last year, but we didn't move forward on it. Not that you opposed it, it's not one that we ended up moving on. But I am requesting, if we're able to afford it, to post a position like that. Now, this one's not a guarantee, but we're gonna look at our numbers. Last year, thank you so much, trustees. Now our kids have theater in junior high, and we didn't have it. So now that starts extending to the high school theater program. One thing that you allowed us last year to bring in a music teacher, which we started off at Ortiz. Well, we're thinking if we get one more music teacher, if we can afford that one more, then we'll be able to have that music teacher from Ortiz help us out with one other smaller campus, and one more be able to have music in all of our elementary schools. Because that's one of the things that I always remember is having music teacher and looking forward to having music. But we haven't had that here in a while, so we definitely want to see if we can make that happen. We'd love to see that position come in.
That would be 4 positions, sir? Or one?
Well, that would be 2 with the teachers, the college-bound advisor, music teacher, that's 4. Now, these are standard because of our growth of our programs. This is regardless, we need it, is 1 PPCD teacher. We're working with our youngest babies coming in with our special needs, but that's because our numbers are increasing. So that regardless, we'd have to have that. Here's something that I'm gonna request trustees to let me look at really closely. But look at where we are right now. And I think all of our superintendents, our eyes were so open when we start taking more inventory of our technology we have in our classes and really looking at the platforms our kids are learning from. But, so we're definitely short on technology, which I'll talk to you about a little bit later, but this one is, I really feel strongly that we need an instructional technology specialist. Basically on top of what Richard does, Richard gets everything going for us here. I mean, they work hard, but having that instructional person that gets into the classrooms, helps us out with a Google Classroom, making sure that all of those components, that instructional technology is happening in our classrooms on a day-to-day basis. We haven't had that in our school district. But this is a learning opportunity for us to continue enhancing. I want to take this whole event and springboard into next year. But having something like that, I think, would be key. That type of position. And there's a couple other ones, again, that are not contractual, but I really want us to ramp up our crossing guards in some of our schools, because right now we use other staff. We have crossing guards, some in our school district, but not enough. So we want to evaluate that, how many we would have in there to be able to continue some of the support services. So these are just some positions that we're looking at, but that would be, I just want to make sure I'm transparent with you, and if you give me that authority, those would be some that I look at if we can afford those positions based on our budget. Number 4, the authority to alter the Robstown ISD school calendar by changing and or adding school instructional hours or work days as necessitated by the emergency closure. As you see, just like the whole extension here to May the 4th, we don't know, trustees. And honestly, that's the next date, but we don't know, depending on how the pandemic is hopefully getting some closure, but we just don't know. So that's just ongoing in my role until we get past this hump. Number 5, the authority to create guidelines and make determinations regarding absences, leave time, leave days, and compensation of any employees whose quarantine as a result of COVID-19 and or who test positive for COVID-19 and who presents appropriate medical documentation regarding themselves and or immediate family member in the sole discretion of the superintendent in compliance with the state and federal laws. Again, on this particular one, trustees, I have to still follow every single law that we have in place. So it's avoiding a special call meeting just to be able to address any type of specific situation like that. Number 6, the authority to seek any necessary waivers from the Texas Education Code agency without further action of the Board of Trustees regarding missed instructional days, low attendance, or any matters related to the emergency closure as part of the resolution. So basically what's happened here, we work daily with the commissioner, updates every day at 3 o'clock. Now it's gone to Tuesdays and Thursdays, but as anything starts to transpire, there's certain waivers that we have to come to the board for approval. But again, it's coming from the state, but it's just part of the process. That gives me the authority to continue accepting the waivers that are needed to continue the operations of our school district. Number 7, the authority to procure, negotiate, and execute contracts for goods and services that are necessary to mitigate, prevent, restore, or repair damage caused to Robstown ISD equipment, property, and facilities, or to protect the safety of Robstown ISD students and staff and community. Again, I hope that I've been really showed you as far as our leadership and what we do. The procurement process for us is vital, because that goes back to the financial integrity of our school district. So this would allow, let me just give an example. So for example, let's just say that during this time, our buildings aren't being used as much, and all of a sudden one of our compressors goes out. That would allow me, in this case, as long as I go through the proper procurement process and the laws, to get that fixed, versus waiting to call another board meeting to get something like that fixed. And normally something like that would probably be over, $50,000. So that's when you look at the kind of what you look at in that type of thing. It's anything to mitigate, to support the operations of our school district. And then in the event other waivers or immediate action is needed, the superintendent is authorized to take other action to submit and apply for other waivers in accordance with guidance and instruction from national and state authorities, including but not limited to the Texas Education Agency. So again, it's just as updates are coming up, I'm gonna always keep you informed. I hope that I've proved myself in that way to keep you informed on items. So it just gives us the flexibility on that. So going to page 69, the superintendent will provide timely and reasonable information to the Board of Trustees to regard decisions made by pursuant to the resolution of board's next regularly scheduled meeting. So what that means is, I can't just make the decisions. I'll need to make some decisions, but I'll always keep you informed of those decisions on things that are best for our school district that are tied around this timeline of COVID-19. So within your authority that you would grant, this resolution shall remain in effect until rescinded by board action at a duly called board meeting. Questions? I know it's a long one. I lost my breath on that one too. But do you have any specific questions regarding this particular one? Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question. I just would like to have it not extended all the way to August. I'm looking maybe to June.
June would, well, if there's a particular one, it would make it difficult, because if it's coming back to hiring teachers and such, then it makes it, normally y'all give me authority, like I said, from June to August to begin with, so I'm not slowing down hiring a good person or a good teacher.
No, but you're talking about over 50,000. We're not talking about hiring. I know you
It's all
mentioned it
included
here.
in there.
I know it's mentioned here, but it's included. But I don't see where we need to extend it out that far. That's my opinion.
Okay.
But
If-
you're doing that based on, we'll still have regular meetings, Dr. Moreno, and that's where you'll let us know. But in between a meeting, if there's a decision you have to make in hiring somebody or making an expenditure, then you have the authority to do it, because it's a major need or something.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think August is just based on the fact that, maybe this whole thing might be extended. We don't know if it's gonna be extended.
And the main one for me for the hiring piece is a big one, okay? Because that one, we gotta be competitive and get the best of the best early. That's one that get delayed. But if we see that in June, things are already calm, and if you want to rescind, then at that point say, you know what, the buying authority, then that's completely understandable. Because that's already past the COVID pandemic concern. But the authority to hire, that's a big one as far as let me keep the operations moving, for our school district.
I don't have a problem with
Well, and Emma had a good question. I mean, are we gonna meet, because it looks like you're taking care of business without the board?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, we'll still schedule, our regular meetings or a special call meeting. It's just on some of these, you're giving authority, like, it's something that comes up, it allows me to start moving forward versus waiting to try to get another board meeting.
But of course, you'll let us know.
Of course. I'll always be in communication, of course, with the board president, and then, you know, as I always do, communicate with you all.
And your recommendation, sir?
Our recommendation on this, sir, is that, to consider approval of adoption of resolution of emergency declaration of the Roxtown Independent School District.
The recommendation from staff that we approve the adoption of the resolution of emergency declaration of the Roxtown ISD. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Lopez, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Arona. Are there any questions?
The only thing that I wanna add is, with the contingency of COVID-19 being resolved and going back to the board.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
that's-
I'm-
That once all this is over.
Yes.
Right, I'd like to
Everything
have
comes
that
back to the
added
board.
on there.
Everything comes back to the board.
Right, but I'd
Yeah.
like to add it to the motion.
That's understandable. The only thing, trustees, I will ask is on the hiring authority, we're just starting, basically a month and a half earlier than normal. So if you allow me to just continue moving forward, that way that doesn't slow us down, because I wanna hire the best of the best when we can.
Right, okay, that's fine.
Not a problem.
Okay?
Any other questions? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous? Thank you, Lord. We're gonna be, sir? Action item?
Yes, sir. Now, B ties into C a little bit, and so what B does, it just sets the stage for C. And so let me go ahead and read that. What we're asking here, trustees, to consider approval by resolution, the filing of a general waiver under Texas Education Code 7.056 with the Commissioner of Education requesting that all performance appraisals required under Texas Education Code 21.351.21.352, 21.3541, and the applicable rule in Title 19, Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 150, and District Policies DNA Local and DNB Local be waived for the 2019-2020 school year due to the COVID-19 pandemic and all matters incident thereto. So basically what this one is going to do is set the stage that leads into the waiver. So that one will be found on page 71. Resolution authorizing the superintendent to apply to the Commissioner of Education for general waiver under Texas Education Code 7.056. Again, this is basically what is setting the stage for, at this point, the Commissioner has basically said that all appraisals for the 19-20 school year will be waived due to the COVID-19. So, let me read the resolution. Whereas Texas Education Code 7.056A allows a school district to apply to the Commissioner of Education for a waiver of requirement, restrictions, and or prohibitions imposed by the Texas Education Code or rule of the State Board of Education or Commissioner. Whereas Texas Education Code 7.056B states that any waivers application submitted to the Commissioner must include a written plan approved by a school district's Board of Trustees that states the achievement objectives of the district and inhibitions imposed of those objections to requirement, restrictions, and prohibitions. Whereas the United States of America, the state of Texas, Nueces County, and Robstown Independent School District have been severely impacted by COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas Texas Education Code 21.351, 21.352, 21.3541, and Title 19 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 150 requires appraisals of classroom, teachers, and principals. Whereas district policies, DNA Local and DMB Local apply to the evaluations of district teacher and campus administrators. Whereas due to the COVID-19 pandemic and current school closures throughout the state of Texas, the district's Board of Trustees acknowledges that the appraisal requirements of Texas Education Code 21.351, 21.352, 21.3541, Title 19 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 150, and district policies, DNA local and DND local, cannot be achieved by the district for the 2019-2020 school year. Whereas the district's Board of Trustees authorizes the district superintendent or designee to file a general waiver under Texas Education Code 7.056 with the commissioner requesting that all appraisal requirements under Texas Education Code 21.351, 21.352, 21.3541, and Title 19 Texas Administrative Code Chapter 150 be waived for the 2019-2020 school year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the district's Board of Trustees authorizes the district superintendent or designee to waive all requirements of district policies, DNA local and DNB local, for the 2019-2020 school year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the district's Board of Trustees of Robstown Independent School District authorizes the district superintendent or designee file a general waiver under Texas Education Code 7.056 with the commissioner requesting that all appraisal requirements under Texas Education Code 21.351, 21.352, 21.3541, and the Title 19 Texas Administrative Code Chapter 150 be waived for the 2019-2020 school year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So trustees, basically all this, what this is saying is you're authorizing me now to request that from our commissioner, which is a waiver that he has out there. So that's what this sets the stage for.
So are we doing it both?
So just for B first, sir.
Okay, your recommendation, sir?
So for recommendation, as I stated before, to consider approval by resolution, the filing of a general waiver under Texas Education Code 7.056 with the Commissioner of Education requesting that all performance appraisals required under Texas Education Code 21.351, 21.352, 21.3541, and the applicable rules in Title 19 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 150, and district policies DNA local and DNB local be waived for the 2019-2020 school year due to the COVID-19 pandemic and all matters incident thereto. So again, trustees, on this one, you're just granting me the authority to apply for the waiver. That's what all of this means.
Recommendation from staff that we accept what was presented to the board under governance on B, the next item. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Move by Mr. Lopez, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Garza. Are there any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Unanimous? We'll go ahead and see, sir.
Okay, trustees, on this next one, to discuss and consider approval of resolution authorizing the superintendent to waive all appraisals at-will employees and non-certified administrators under district policy DN local for the 2019-2020 school year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So on that one, on page 74, it's a little bit shorter. So page 75, resolution authorizing the superintendent to waive all employment appraisals of at-will employees and non-certified administrators required under board policy DN local. Whereas Robstown Independent School District policy DN, which was most recently adopted by the district's Board of Trustees on or about May 21st, 2007, requires that all district employees shall be periodically appraised in the performance of their duties. Whereas DN local also states evaluation appraisals ratings shall be based on evaluation instrument and cumulative performance data gathered by supervisors throughout the year. Each employee shall have at least one conference annually to discuss the written evaluation and may have many conferences about performance of duties as the superintendent deems necessary. Whereas the United States of America, the state of Texas, Nueces County, and Robstown Independent School District have been severely impacted by COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas due to the COVID-19 pandemic and current school closures throughout the state of Texas, the district's Board of Trustees acknowledges that the appraisal requirements of district policy DN local cannot be achieved by the district for the 2019-2020 school year. Whereas the district's Board of Trustees authorizes the district superintendent or designee to waive all appraisals of all at-will employees and non-certified administrators required under district policy DN local for the 2019-2020 school year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And now, Therefore, be it resolved that the district's Board of Trustees of Robstown Independent School District authorize the district superintendent or designee to waive all appraisals of at-will employees and non-certified administrators required under district policy D and local for the 2019-2020 school year due to COVID-19 pandemic. So, whereas the other one, really was focusing on our administrative level or contractual, this one also, this particular resolution is about all of our certified administrators or at-will employees.
Recommendation, sir?
So, sir, at this point, I recommend that, what I'm recommending is consider approval of the resolution authorizing the superintendent to waive all appraisals of at-will employees and non-certified administrators under district policy D and local for the 2019-2020 school year due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
There's a recommendation from STEM that we approve a resolution authorizing the superintendent to waive all appraisals of at-will employees and non-certified administrators under district policy D and local for the 2019-2020 school year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Lopez, is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
By Ms. Arana. Are there any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous? We go to, item number 8, business of the board action item, sir.
So trustees, this one is very similar to the resolution, but I want to make sure it's concrete on here as well. Discuss and consider approval of authorizing the superintendent to purchase items in excess of $50,000 for COVID-19 related expenditures. It's just like in the resolution, it's for emergency purposes only. I will always follow procurement processes, but again, it's like the example I gave earlier. If it's something that's medical, is buying more supplies, anything that's dealing with under the umbrella of COVID-19, that's what that would allow me to do, because we don't know if it exceeds 50,000, then I'd have to come back to the board. But that's part of this. Is one and the same as far as what you pass on the resolution, but I want to always be transparent, and this is one specific one that you would look at. Again, under COVID-19 umbrella.
Your recommendation, sir?
To consider approval of authorizing the superintendent to purchase items in excess of $50,000 for COVID-19 related expenditures.
There's recommendation from staff that we consider approval of authorizing the superintendent to purchase items in excess of 50,000 for COVID-19 related expenditures. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Arana, is there a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Lopez, are there any questions?
Just a comment, I mean, that, what we're doing today, Dr. Moreno,
Yes.
that's being done across
Yeah.
the country.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's just having transparency with our superintendent and having the confidence that things that need to be done because of the emergencies that come up, we don't have to be put out, and plus, it allows you to take action immediately,
Right.
so.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other
Thank you.
questions? Are we already voted?
No.
We're ready to vote.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous? Next item, sir.
Trustees, the next item is discuss and consider approval of renewal of the cost reimbursement food service management contract with Compass Group USA Incorporated, DBA, which we know as Chartwells, for 2020 and 2021 school year. And what this one is, trustees, we have a 5-year commitment already with the company, with Chartwells, but we still come for a yearly renewal at that point. What I did want to give you some general information on Chartwells at this point and what we've seen. We have seen a continual improvement in our service, and that's I think we're building a good foundation, good relation for our kids' services. But just a couple examples, like at the elementary schools, we also, whereas before we only had 1 hot meal offering, now we have 2 hot meal offerings at the elementary school, so there's more choice. At the junior high, they have something that's called Sono, which is all your nachos, tacos, chalupas. We've seen a 14% increase in participation because of those type of offerings for our kids. High school, there's definitely, I mean, when you go in those lines, I think most of you have seen them, there's just choice all the way across. So that's the ideal I wish we could have in every single campus. Definitely, I want you to really look at the marketing aspect of the signage. I mean, it's a lot brighter. You see that, it's just part of what they're doing in their program and organization. I'll tell you what continues to be, and I see it with my own eyes, the water stations. Basically, it's like your fruit stations. You have different types of water offerings. if it's sandia, cucumber, whatever it may be. It's just that extra refreshing water, but it's flavored, of course, with natural fruits and veggies. Again, and I know that our chef has been participating also with our culinary classrooms to continue building on that. We're starting to get out there and competing, and we've had some success competing this year with our kids. But it's all, one program working together. We always we actually had a survey that beyond the asking of kids, what's working, what's not, what do you like, what you don't like, a formal survey that actually was about to go out right after spring break, but we'll have that readily available as soon as we get back to conduct that survey, a formal survey. And our a la carte participation for students is just out the roof. I mean, it's just a la carte because there's more choices that they can choose from.
Recommendations, sir?
So my recommendation is consider approval of renewal of the cost reimbursement food service management contract with Compass Group USA, Incorporated, DBA Chartwells for 2020-21 school year.
There's recommendation from staff that we approve the renewal of the cost reimbursable food service management contract with Compass Group USA, Inc., DBA Chartwell for 2020-2021 school year. Do I have a motion? Moved by Ms. Varona, is there a second? Second by Ms. Roldan, are there any questions?
I just have a question. I did request some information from you, but you'll provide that to us eventually, right?
Yes, ma'am. And
I know there's not enough time to get it, but just so we can see what's happening financially and all that, and make sure that we'll see some improvements in our cafeterias like we've done every year previously, so.
Yes, ma'am. I would love to have also, once we clear all this, to have a formal presentation from the regional director. But what I can say that even in reviewing, remember, part of the guarantee, now, I don't know how that impacts because of what's happening right now, because our kids aren't in the classrooms, but remember, part of the guarantee that they signed on, when we signed them on, was that they would provide basically an amount of $272,094 every year that we would have additional funding that we could work with. Basically, that's almost like a profit to say that we reinvest into our schools, our cafeterias and such. That was their guarantee. Now, I don't know if that, again, is gonna waiver just because of, we're not in school in session, but so for example, let's just say that we made only $200,000. What they committed to was making that extra $72,000 good on their part. So that is a goal that they have to attain every single year. That goes back to, go back into our schools.
Yeah.
But I will bring them back for a formal presentation.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous? We go to item C, sir.
Trustees, on this one, discuss and consider approval of 3-year renewal with MSB Consulting Group for SHARS reporting. Remember, this is a company that I think we brought on last year, but they help us to collect additional funds of services that are provided to all of our students with special needs. So that goes back to what SHARS is reporting, but we want to continue the partnership with them, and again, that's MSB Consulting.
Recommendation from staff that we will approve a 3-year renewal with MSB Consulting Group for SHARS reporting. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Lopez, is there a second?
One second.
Second by Ms. Arona, any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous? We go to item D, sir.
So item D, trustees, again, is almost like the resolution, but I want to be very, very specific here and transparent with you. So discuss and consider approval of authorizing the superintendent to purchase instructional materials in excess of $50,000 related to COVID-19. So what's happening here, trustees, right now, since our kids have not been in our schools and our principals, they take their Title I funds, they put a certain amount of money off on tutorials. Because our kids have not been here, what I've asked all of them to do is relook at their budgets to see how much they have left. And this is a perfect opportunity to reallocate those funds to buy more technology. So one of the things I'm encouraging them to do is buy what's called CALS, Computers on Wheels. That normally comes in a set of 20 to 25 Chromebooks. Normally, the price range is around $5,500 to $6,000. So with whatever monies they are able to bring back, which I'm pretty sure is gonna exceed $50,000 because we have 7 schools. That way we put it back into our current inventory to kick off the next school year. as well. So that's why I'm requesting this specifically, or any other instructional materials that are needed to continue the services of online and distance learning.
Your recommendation, sir?
My recommendation is consider approval of authorizing the superintendent to purchase instructional materials in excess of $50,000 related to COVID-19.
This recommendation will stand that we give approval to the superintendent to purchase instructional materials in excess of 50,000 related to COVID-19. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Lopez, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Orona, are there any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Unanimous? We go to item 9, those sections are under section 551.07 for the Texas Government Code. Do we have any resignations, appointments, and terminations?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You need a motion?
Yes.
I so move.
Moved by Ms. Orona, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lopez, are there any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous? Sir?
So trustees, we're not gonna put executive session here. So all we'll do is we'll shut off the cameras. Richard?
At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion that we reconvene from executive session.
So moved.
There's a motion by Mr. Lopez, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Orona, are there any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, unanimous? Okay, we go to item 8. Is the next item, sir?
Yes, sir. Item 8 is to discuss, consider approval of, or requesting your consideration approval of possible action on resignations, appointments, and terminations.
There's recommendation instead that we consider approval of possible action on resignations, appointments, and terminations. Do I have a motion? Moved by Mr. Lopez, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Roldan, any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous? We go to the action, item B, sir.
Trustees, I'm asking at this point to basically, and I need your help on this, as April the 20th.
April the 20th.
At 5 o'clock.
Okay, at 5 o'clock. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Moved by Ms. Roldan, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Lopez, any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Unanimous? We go to item number 11, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Moved by Ms. Orona, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Roldan, any questions? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous? You're adjourned. You're adjourned, all right?
And trustees, we will bring the teacher contracts along with the administrative
Yes.
contracts at
Very
that
good.
time.
Very good.
together.
Get them all out of the way.